Welcome everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Dwayna Welch, and she's the author of Love Factually, 10 Proven Steps from I Wish to I Do, and I'm so excited to have her here today because today we're talking about 2 quick ways to figure out if he's the one before you get too involved. And I'm so excited. Dwayna, tell our audience, what made you write this book, Love Factually?
Well, thank you for having me on again, Suzanne. What made me write the book really is my own search for love. I was not doing particularly well at it, and I have a PhD in developmental psychology, so I'm a research nerd is basically what I'm saying. And I thought that being a research nerd would really, I guess I thought that I worked really hard at my job and I was scholarly, and so that would protect me against all the pitfalls of love. But it didn't. I got my heart broken anyway, again and again and again. And so one day, after feeling really devastated, I went to a bookstore and I thought, I want to find a resource that will help me find and keep love. But there wasn't anything there that was based on fact. It was all based on opinion, and I wanted something based on fact. So I started looking at other social scientists' research, people who were doing research in these exact questions. And I put the information together first for myself, and then people started asking for a book. Initially, I did a website for about 6.5 years, and then that turned into the book Love Factually. And I've used it for myself successfully. And other people are telling me now, it's been out a little while, they're telling me that it's successful for them. So that's why I wrote it.
Awesome. Well, so tell us, what are these 2 quick ways?
So the first technique you want to use is what I call the look, lean, and listen. The look, lean, and listen is where you lean close to the person, you look directly in their eyes, and you listen to what they have to say. You ask them open-ended questions. And strangely enough, when you do this, people feel completely disarmed because, let's face it, almost no one gets listened to in a deep, genuine way enough. All of us really crave that. We crave someone who actually listens instead of formulates their answer while we're talking. So here's the question you ask while you do the look, lean, and listen. I have had some relationships that didn't work out, and I imagine you do too. Can you tell me what it was that if your ex was here right now, she would say was the reason you're not still together?
Oh, that's a good one.
What's fabulous about this question is people answer it honestly. So a client of mine told me that she asked this guy the question, and he said, well, she would say that she left me because I was a slob. And my client said, really? Tell me more about that. And he went on to describe in great detail how he did things like leave the water running so long that the cast iron tub fell through the ceiling onto the floor below, and that he then didn't clean it up. He started a business that failed because he wouldn't take excellent advice about it because it was just too much work. Basically, he was not very industrious and he was not very motivated. And so she said, yeah, I figured out, you know what? I would also leave you for these things. And she did. Another woman told me that she did the look, lean, and listen, and the guy said he got divorced when his wife caught him in bed with a virginal young girl in his marriage bed.
Oh my God.
And believe it or not, this woman, she was very good at the look, lean, and listen. She kept leaning in, and talk about lean in. She kept leaning in, and she said, wow, how shocking. What else do you want to tell me about that? And he gleefully, not shamefully, by the way, he gleefully discussed how he had seduced to this 17-year-old girl. He was in his late 20s and convinced her he wasn't married. This guy he wasn't remorseful about it. This woman was seeing a sociopath. And she very quickly figured that out. He probably wouldn't have come out with that story if she hadn't done the triple L. Look, lean, and listen, and ask that question. Oh, what you will find out. Now, I did the look, lean, and listen with my husband, and about his ex-wife. And his answer was also very revealing. He said, he was so classy about it. He said, well, we had actually a lot of years of unhappiness. We basically lived as roommates under the same roof for about 9 years before that divorce. It was very painful, and ultimately I left because I needed more intimacy in my life. But he said, we really try to get along for the sake of our son. Okay, that's a yes. That's a good human being. So people will tell you who they are, and as Maya Angelou said, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. So the look, lean, and listen combined with that question are two really quick ways to just cut to the chase.
That's a great point. I love that tip. So what's the second way?
So another way, this one takes a little more time, but it is so worth it. I want you to write a list, and I want you to write a list of every single thing that you want in a life partner. I mean, if you like Mexican food and you want him to like it, put it on there. I know that's trivial, but in other words, I'm saying everything from the sublime to the ridiculous goes on this list.
Mm-hmm.
And then you divide the list. It's good to do it on a computer. Divide the list into two different lists. One of them is the short list, which is your must-haves. These are things that if he doesn't have it, you don't move forward. It's a deal breaker if he doesn't have these things. So that should be a short list. Everything else goes on your wants. Now, ladies, what I want you to do on your first couple dates with this guy is find creative ways to figure out whether there are any deal breakers. Remember, dating is not fun. It's a job interview. You're interviewing this person for the most important job of your entire life. He's trying to fulfill a position in your life of the man for the rest of your life, right? That's what you're looking for. And if you're not looking for that, fine, just date and do whatever you want. But if you're looking for that, you need to make sure that he doesn't have any deal breakers, and you need to do it very quickly and upfront. Let's say that a deal breaker for you is whether or not he has health insurance. I've had clients for whom that was a deal breaker. In other words, I'm not telling you what your deal breakers have to be. I'm saying you should know what they are. Well, so she dropped in, so tell me about your job. Do you like what you do? Does your job, how do you like your health insurance plan? Now, if he says, well, it doesn't provide one and I don't have any, well, for her, the important question got answered right there, right? If he says, well, I have some, and it's, you can take the conversation with them. Just find ways. Don't wait until you're already in love to ask those questions. That's just asking for trouble. Because unfortunately, I know the pop songs, and even some therapists will tell you love is all that matters. If you fall in love with somebody, then that's going to work out. That's not scientifically true. What's scientifically true is people are sexy. You can fall in love with the wrong person. You can get deeply involved and then get your heart broken. If you don't want that to happen, leave yourself open for the right person by finding out the tough answers right away.
And I think that's a really great point. I'm just going to put a little asterisk on this point, and I'm going to caution the ladies that when you do ask these questions of the men, that you don't make them feel like they're being interrogated. Because I will tell you, my male clients tell me all the time, when they start to feel like you're just shooting off these questions to go through your checklist, it's the most irritating thing to men, and it's actually a turnoff. So do it in a more subtle, creative, relaxed way, and sprinkle in the questions here or there, but don't go one question after another, and he feels like he's like being interrogated, because it's the worst thing.
Now, a man who really is already in love with you, and by the way, love at first sight is a real thing. It is. Most women don't think it is, and that's because it doesn't happen to us very much. It mostly happens to men. If he's already in love with you, he will gladly respond to your interrogation, actually. But if you're interested in him and you don't want to scare him off, and he hasn't gone there yet, you can tell that he's not there yet, then you do want to be more careful about it. The look, lean, and listen is a very warm way of relating. It's a very genuine way of relating, where you really deeply listen to the responses and you ask follow-up questions. When you do that, people don't feel interrogated. They feel valued and responded to. So it's really a matter of technique. There are people who are terrible at asking questions, and there are people who are good at them. Just like there are people who are terrible at fixing cars, and there are people who are good at fixing cars. And so you want to become a good relationship mechanic and learn how to do that triple L really well. Practice on your friends. Ask if they feel validated. And when you reach that point, at that point, you're ready to do it.
Exactly. Well, these have been some great tips. So, Dwayna, tell our audience how they can find you in your book.
So you can find me and my book. Here it is in paperback. at Amazon.com. The book is Love Factually with an F, and it's available in ebook, audiobook, and paperback. Or you could go to my website if you prefer at www.lovefactually.co.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you like the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. If you like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you would like to get our free ebook on 3 secrets guaranteed to attract any man based on scientific research, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.